I'd like to speak for just a moment about passion as a principle for eliminating excuses. Create for yourself the habit of enthusiasm about everything. When I watched the interview with Felipe, who was the guy who was the man on wire, he said, you have to have passion every single day. And what does the word enthusiasm mean? Entheos, God. Yasm, within, in Greek. The God within. That's the meaning of, when you have passion for anything inside of you, you are really, that's God speaking to you. If you have total passion for something and you just won't let go of it, regardless of what the circumstances of your life are, you will find a way. The universe will provide you with a way. The strange synchronistic experiences and serendipities that seem to show up, they show up much more frequently and right on time when you're living from a place of passion. No passion? Continue with your excuses. Passion is the creative source inside of you. Walk with it. I do it every day. Hold hands with it. Make it your #1 relationship in life, not to your spouse, not to your children, not even to yourself. Make your #1 relationship to your source, to God, to that place from which you returned, to which all things return. Live from a place of passion, and you will be guided. Those principles that I've just spoken briefly about, alignment, passion, willingness, they're all exemplified in someone that I'd like to introduce to America. His name is Dan Caro, C-A-R-O, Dan Caro. He was born in 1979. And on St. Patrick's Day in 1982, on March the 17th, he was out in his backyard. He's from New Orleans, Louisiana. His mom was watching him, and he scooted off just for a second into the garage. And in the garage, there was a can of gasoline, and he tipped it over, and there was a hot water heater in there with a flame, a pilot, and it exploded. It was a flash fire, and this little 2-year-old boy was burned over 75 to 80% of his body. He was just awash in fire. His mother ran in fact, his mother and father are both here this evening and flew here for this program. And I heard about Dan from my dear sweet friend Tiffany, who also is from New Orleans, and she said she had met this young man and he just really made an impact on her. And over the course of the next 12 or 14 years, he underwent 80+ surgeries at the Shriner Hospital up in Massachusetts. When they wrapped him up, and they have to wrap them, and when they unwrapped his hands, his hand fell off. And when they unwrapped his other hand, his fingers and his hand fell off. And when they unwrapped his feet, after all of this therapy and all of his toes fell off. He was scarred from head to toe, burnt, and no one even anticipated that he would survive. But there's something inside Dan Caro that exemplifies the excuses be gone life that I'm speaking about here in this program. Music is in his life. His father loved music. He's from New Orleans, city of jazz. He always envisioned himself as a musician, and yet he was hopelessly burned, and everyone thought that he probably wouldn't even live to be 3 or 4. But there was something inside of Dan, that compassion, that passion, that willingness, that desire to make something more of himself. He wanted to be a musician more than anything. Music was in his soul, even when he was 2 years old, and I've seen pictures of that beautiful little 2-year-old boy. And, well, he not only became a musician, but he was written up in a journal called Modern Drummer. He became a drummer without any hands. Try to imagine that. Not only did he become a drummer, but he became a very well-known drummer, playing in very significant bands across the South. At Loyola University, he was in the jazz band. And he had to do it by eliminating all of the excuses. And I invited Dan to come on my program when I met with him, and I've had him speak with me, and he will knock you out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like him to speak a little bit to you and then maybe even show you what it is that he does. My friend, Dan Caro.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. What do you say after Wayne Dyer talks, right? And he pretty much covers everything. But I want to share something with you. When Wayne called me and asked me if I wanted to participate in this program, Excuses Be Gone, it got me thinking about something that I've heard throughout my entire life. And that is, Dan, if anybody's got the right to complain or to make excuses, it's you. What does that mean? What gives me the right to complain about a gift? I guess some people see their lives as a curse. I certainly don't. I literally see this as a gift from God, a blessing. I have so many opportunities to inspire people through my story. If I looked at this in a negative light, it would be an insult to God. But not only that, to my family, to my friends, to everyone. I have so many opportunities to inspire people. I mean, it's truly a blessing. And I hear people complaining all the time, and it kind of gets to me a little bit. And they make, and they make some pretty ridiculous excuses. A big one today is the economy, of course. But I've also heard some silly excuses like this. I'm not smart enough. I'm too short. I've even heard one about being bald. And never stopped Wayne or me from doing what we want to do, right? I guess because I was burned so young, I've noticed early on that people look at me a little differently. But I never wanted to be seen as different. I wanted people to see me as equal. So I thought I had to do everything that everyone else did, better than everyone else did, just to fit in. So when I was in kindergarten, I was about 5 years old, the task of the day was learning to tie your shoes. See, I had just had a surgery that gave me the use of a thumb at that age. And I didn't really have control of my hands. I didn't have the muscle strength. So I couldn't grip the laces to pull the knot tight. And I struggled with this for a very, very, very long time. And I felt at times that it wasn't ever going to happen. And I felt so defeated. And in those moments when I felt the weakest, I felt a surge of energy overwhelm me. And my attitude changed from one of defeat to one of empowerment, to one of inspiration. And I began to work harder. And 7 years after I began that journey of tying my shoes, which I consider to be the greatest struggle of my entire life, I remember the day great. I was 12 years old. And we were dressing out for PE class. And I bent down to tie my shoes like I did every day. But this day was different. I felt an energy I had never felt. I had the strength. I grabbed those shoelaces and I pulled that knot tight. And when I tied my shoes for the first time by myself, I felt liberated. It was as though I was in the presence of God. And I felt like God was asking me, what do you want to do now? Well, I'd like to play some drums. So you guys are probably wondering how I hold it, right? Well, I'll tell you. I use a tennis wristband, doubled over, with rubber bands around the wristband. And I put the stick in like this. And on my left hand, I can grip it with my thumb. So here we go. Hold on 1 second. I need some help. I need some help from you guys. Okay? Y'all gonna keep a beat for me, all right? Check it out. Do this. Hit your clap. Right? Come on, Wayne.
Dan Carroll. Dan Carroll. Thank you, Danny.